You know, when you picture Australia's amazing animals, like the koala, the wombat, the Tasmanian devil, you see these creatures that are just totally unique. But there's a whole secret, microscopic world living right on them, a world we're really only just beginning to understand.
So what is it they're hiding? Well, it turns out the key to this whole mystery isn't something big and obvious. Nope, it's incredibly small. It's a tiny passenger that most of these animals carry around, and it holds this absolute treasure trove of biological secrets.
And the key to unlocking these secrets? It's the humble tick. Now, you might just think of them as pests, and yeah, fair enough, but in the world of biology, they are so much more.
I mean, think about it like this. They are nature's own living, breathing hypodermic needles. When a tick latches on and feeds, it can slurp up tiny microorganisms from an animal's blood, and then it can transfer them to the very next animal it bites. They're basically little biological shuttle buses.
Now, the official scientific term for this job is a vector, and it's a really crucial concept. The tick itself doesn't necessarily get sick, but it acts as this perfect little bridge, letting all kinds of microorganisms jump from host to host, sometimes even between completely different species.
And here in Australia, one of the most important players in this game is the common marsupial tick, Ixodes tasmanii. What's so important about this little guy is that it isn't picky at all. It'll happily feed on a huge range of animals. We're talking koalas, devils, you name it. That makes it the perfect vehicle for spreading all kinds of hidden passengers.
So if we want to find out what secrets these ticks are carrying, where do we even start? Well, scientists began with one of Australia's most beloved and iconic animals.
Okay, so our investigation really kicks off back in 2008 on Phillip Island. Researchers were doing routine health checks on wild koalas and collected 42 ticks. Honestly, they weren't really sure what, if anything, they were going to find inside.
But after analyzing those ticks, they got their first massive clue, a single number that would blow open a whole new field of research, 21%.
21%. That's how many of the tick samples came back positive for DNA from a bacteria called Bartonella. Now, these are really clever little germs. They're what's known as intracellular parasites, which means they literally live inside the cells of their host. It's a great way to hide from the immune system. And other species of Bartonella are known to cause diseases in both people and animals.
And this is why that 21% was such a huge deal. Just look at this quote from the paper. This was a landmark discovery. No one ever had found Bartonella in a native Australian marsupial before. Suddenly, this hidden world was starting to reveal itself.
But you know, that discovery in the koala ticks, that was just the beginning. The investigation soon expanded, and this time it turned to an animal facing an even bigger threat.
The search moved down to Tasmania, to the iconic Tassie devil. And this wasn't just idle curiosity. The devil population was already being totally devastated by a contagious cancer, so understanding any other health risks, especially from tick-borne organisms, was critically important for conservation efforts.
And what they found was, wow, just stunning. In the ticks they pulled off the devils, a massive 45.5% tested positive for a bacteria called Rickettsia. Another 34% had a parasite called hepatozoon. And get this, over 13% of the ticks were carrying both at the same time. This hidden world was way more crowded than anyone had imagined.
So what are these things anyway? Well, Rickettsia is a group of bacteria famous for causing spotted fevers, and hepatozoon is a single-celled parasite that's a known pathogen in animals like cats. The big takeaway here is that these weren't just random harmless microbes. They were relatives of bugs known to cause real trouble. So far, we've got koalas and devils. The picture was definitely getting clearer, but it wasn't complete. Researchers started to realize this whole phenomenon might be way more widespread. Right, so the search expanded one more time. This time, scientists started looking at different types of native ticks, collected from two more of Australia's most famous animals, the common wombat and the short-beaked echidna. And the results just kept on coming, revealing an even bigger diversity of bacteria. Ticks from wombats, they were carrying both Rickettsia and another one called Coxiella. That's the group that includes the Q fever bacteria. Ticks on echidnas had a whole different type of Rickettsia. And even the koala ticks turned up something new, Ricketsiella, a known insect pathogen. It was like every animal and tick combination had its own unique microscopic secret. And again, here's that magic word, first. these weren't just confirmations of something people already knew. No, these were brand new discoveries. For each of these tick species, it was the very first time scientists had ever documented that these specific bacteria were even there.
Okay, so we've found this whole microscopic zoo living in these ticks. It's fascinating science, for sure. But the big question is, why does any of this actually matter?
Well, let's put all the pieces together. First, we now know that Australian ticks are packed with a huge diversity of bacteria that we never knew existed there before. Second, this isn't some isolated thing. We're seeing it in ticks from koalas, devils, wombats, and echidnas. And here's the most important part. Many of these microbes are related to known pathogens. That creates a potential health risk for wildlife that might already be vulnerable. It all leads to one major conclusion. For conservation to work, we can't just look at the animal. We have to understand the entire tiny world it carries around with it.
Ultimately, protecting a koala or a Tasmanian devil isn't just about protecting the animal you can see. It's about understanding and defending it from the invisible threats that could be lurking in the ecosystem it carries on its own back.
This whole series of discoveries really opened up a brand new chapter in Australian wildlife science. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If all of this was hiding in a simple tick, what other microscopic secrets is this incredible continent still waiting to reveal?